Introduced to you here with me on set. We have Jehmu Greene, former president of the Women's Media Center and, of course, a Fox News contributor. You can follow her on Twitter at JEHMU,
yes,
which I just threw out to my Twitter page as well.
And I just retweeted you at Laura Ingle.
We're on the same page. And also joining us live from the Miami Bureau is Ed Pasquale. Did I get that right, Ed?
You did. You did.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Do you have a Twitter handle?
I don't.
Okay, well, maybe we'll get you a Twitter handle by the end of the show. We'll see what happens. But Ed, thanks you so
Laura.
much for joining us. We want to talk about a couple of things. I also want to mention that there's a lot of action going on Capitol Hill. We're going to be talking to William Lajeunesse, who's monitoring the entire Fast and Furious situation for us. He's done an incredible job following the story from beginning to where we are right now. We're going to check in with him in just a minute, get our political panel's thoughts on that as well. But first, let's talk about some other things going on in politics. Of course, we're following what, it depends on what network you're watching, what newspaper you read. People talking about the Obama and Clinton drama, about fireworks, about things that are going on with these two. Listening to the Obama campaign's attacks on Mitt Romney's career, Bill Clinton, as you may or may not know, has been dissatisfied with a message in particular that it demonized Mr. Romney's record as head of the private equity firm rather than laying out clear policy differences between the candidates. But former President Bill Clinton has been backtracking from those recent comments in which he seemed to indicate support for extending the Bush-era tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. So there's a lot of maneuvering about, his thoughts. And I want to go, let's start with you in Miami, Ed. Your thoughts on all of this.
Well, I mean, this comes on the heels of Cory Booker also speaking off script with respect to Obama administration's attacks on Romney's business record. And here's the point. Unlike Cory Booker, it's going to be difficult for the Obama administration to intimidate Bill Clinton. And I think you should take the former president at his word. Mitt Romney has a sterling business record, and this line of attack is not really well thought out.
Jimmy, I was looking at what Mark J. Penn, former campaign advisor to both Bill and Hillary Clinton, said, saying, quote, yes, the Obama campaign may or may not be happy with everything Clinton says, but that only makes Clinton's endorsements more credible.
Exactly. In a sense, I agree with what Ed said. You should take President Clinton at his word. And he has said very clearly that Governor Romney's economic vision for this country will take us backwards, and he does not support Governor Romney's vision. At the end of the day, I think what has happened here, as much as people want this to play out like a telenovela between the Clinton campaign camp and the Obama campaign folks, there's nuance. When President Clinton speaks, there's so much nuance to what his message is, but we don't live in a media environment that really allows for that. And so that's why I think we've seen the need for these clarifications. But he's been point blank, very specific that Governor Romney will take us backwards and does not provide the type of solutions that our economy is looking for.
Ed, I can hear you laughing over there in Miami.
Well, it is a little funny. I mean, the Obama campaign came out and said, President Clinton didn't know what he was talking about because he was all of 65 years old. Boy, I tell you, it's a campaign and a scramble. They're on the wrong side of the politics of this issue. And frankly, given the election results of the Wisconsin recall and the bad job numbers last Friday, they're on the wrong side of the policy.
So you brought up Wisconsin, and that was going to be something we were going to bounce to next. So we'll get into that. Right now, organized labor, looking at some of today's news, organized labor reeling from blows to government workers in Wisconsin and California elections, grappling with the prospect of diminished political clout and fewer members in public sector unions that have formed the core of the movement's power in recent years. And now we're hearing that even some Democratic pockets of the country, voters are signaling they are comfortable with shaving benefits and bargaining power from government worker unions. All of this, of course, after what we saw with Governor Scott Walker's victory in Wisconsin after that recall election. What do you think about that? Yes to you, Ed.
I mean, look, I do think it's a big blow to organized labor. They put a lot of chips on the table to attack Governor Walker, and they lost. But really what it comes down to is I think the unions tried to overreach. And in this economic environment, the taxpayer is who matters. Scott Walker was the adult in the room. He stood up and fought for the taxpayer. We're seeing a common theme. There's some indications even in places like California where Democrats are saying, wait a second, we're in favor of additional contributions from union members toward their own pensions. And those kinds of messaging says, look, enough already. We cannot afford it, and we've got to have some fiscal sanity. And it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat. Everybody can see the fiscal train wreck about to occur if something different doesn't occur.
And Jamie, what do you think about how this all played out this week? Because it was just high drama at the beginning of the week.
It was high drama, and I think there are many Democratic operatives who have been unwilling to say, hey, we lost, and we lost by a significant margin. I think that is absolutely clear. But you also can't take this loss and then say this means that President Obama is going to lose Wisconsin, and this means this is the end of unions. There are a lot of factors at play here. First, the unions in Wisconsin, they didn't even get the candidate they wanted to go up against Scott Walker. I can't even remember who their candidate was, but Tom Barrett wasn't their original pick. Second, the unions were outspent 8-1 in Wisconsin by Governor Scott Walker's campaign and his corporate backers. 8-1. That basically is a definition of a campaign being bought, not democracy. I think it boils down to that the voters in Wisconsin weren't necessarily saying that they support the union busting and the overreach that Governor Walker did, but they just weren't behind the recalling of this governor based specifically on a policy position. But at the end of the day, yes, we lost. But if he tries to overreach again, what Governor Walker won't be able to do is have the support of the Senate, because Democrats picked up those 2 Senate seats, and that is going to make the difference. Hopefully it's not going to make the difference we've seen in Congress at the federal level, because that means, we're at gridlock and nothing can get done. But he's not going to be able to just, walk over policies the way he did with the unions.
Ed, I want to give you a chance to rebut to that real quick and let you know that we've got William LaJeunesse waiting for us. But go ahead and make your point.
Quick, and I would totally agree that the unions lost, and so did the Obama administration, and so did the Democratic backers of the opposition out in Wisconsin. But look, there's a theme here. Scott Walker stepped up, fiscal conservative policies, deficit cutting, controlled spending. I mean, these are things that are occurring not just in Wisconsin, they're occurring in Indiana under Mitch Daniels and in New Jersey under Chris Christie. And all 3 of those gentlemen really have stepped up and been responsible public servants as opposed to playing the politics.
Okay, we're